Happy Victory Tuesday, Seahawks fans. Welcome into this edition of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. We got an awesome show on tap as your Seattle Seahawks are back in the win column, back to 500 and in the playoff hunt. Spam W in the comments section to celebrate that win. And boy, do we have a great show for you ahead today. Spam those W's and we'll get started. We are talking all about what the playoff picture looks like for your Seattle Seahawks here on the program as we head into the final 3 weeks. The Seahawks with momentum off of a win last night, a come-from-behind victory against the defending champions of the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Seahawks with some optimism, but some work to do to get one of those final playoff spots. Here's where everything stands after week number 15 in the NFL. The 49ers have already clinched the division. They are the number one seed at the moment in the NFC. The Dallas Cowboys, we helped out the Cowboys a little bit. They now lead that division with the number 2 seed at 10-4. Same record as the Detroit Lions, who are also 10-4, although they have not clinched a playoff spot just yet. And then Baker Mayfield and the Bucs leading the NFC South with the number 4 seed at 7-7. Then we shift over to the wild card, and you can see the Eagles drop down to that 5 spot at 10-4. The Vikings at 7-7 in the 6th spot. Rams at 7-7 as well. Seattle, New Orleans, all with that same record, but the tiebreakers go to Minnesota and LA right now because of the 2 losses that the Seahawks have to the LA Rams. That gives them a 6-5 NFC conference record. That puts the Seahawks a bit behind the 8 ball of sorts when it comes to these tiebreakers with these other teams. Sure, they are tied for a playoff spot, but they don't have the tiebreakers to their advantage at the moment where things stand right now. Let's go over the rest of the wild card race and just kind of show you hand in hand where everything's at. The Eagles, it's hard to imagine them losing that number 5 spot. It's almost definite that it's going to be either them or Dallas. Whoever doesn't win that division will hold that number 5 spot. Then Minnesota, LA, Seattle, New Orleans, all competing for those final 2 spots. Minnesota hasn't been the same team as of late. The Rams, we've seen the good, we've seen the bad from the Rams. Seattle, I think last night was a turning point in the season. I expect this team to play a lot better here down the stretch after ending that losing streak last night. The Saints, they're a bit of a mess. I don't trust anything Derek Carr does. So between that group, it is manageable. You are, I think, going to get the help you need potentially, and we'll have more on that in just a bit. The other teams that are a part of this that need some help and need some more wins in the win column, the Falcons are out right now along with the Packers at 6-8. The New York Giants and the Chicago Bears still technically alive at the moment at 5-9 records, have not been eliminated just yet. The most important key, I think, when you talk about this playoff picture for Seattle and the upcoming games ahead, this team still controls their own destiny. So, while it would be nice to have some help and to get some losses along the way from some of these other teams, at the end of the day, the Seahawks, if you win out, you are in. And let's explain why. The New York Times, when they're not printing fake news, comes up with these playoff percentages and how things look for Seattle. Right now, they have a 45% chance to make the postseason, which is up from last week when it was less than 30%. The chances of missing the playoffs, just quick little math there, 55% at the moment. But here's where things can change based on how the next few weeks go. If you beat Tennessee, that jumps up to 65%. If you beat Tennessee and Pittsburgh, that jumps up to 83%. And then, if you win all 3 games, this is what I'm talking about as far as controlling your own destiny goes, a 99% chance, based on the New York Times' playoff models, that the Seahawks make it in the postseason at that point with a 10-7 record. And with getting this win yesterday, which was the toughest game on their schedule remaining in the final 4 weeks, the Seahawks can win out. They very well could win these next 3 games and go into the postseason, not just with a 10-7 record, but with momentum as well, a 4-game winning streak. It'd be a big deal. So let's ask you guys now, will the Seahawks make the postseason? Wyfer, yes. in for no? Weigh in the comments section. Tell me what you think. Are the Seahawks ultimately going to be there and be a part of the show? One of these final 7 teams in the NFC. Weigh in that comment section. Tell me what you think. If we will see Seattle there or not. Why for yes, in for no. Let's tell you about today's sponsor. That is Game Time. Game Time, the place to go for tickets to whether it's sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater productions, and more. The best seats for the lowest prices guaranteed. Here's how it works. Pick the game you want to go to, and then you see the prices below. From there, you pick the seat that you want, and you can kind of zoom in and see if the seat, if you like it, if it's for you or not, or if you'd rather go with another seat option, they'll make sure that you get what you are looking for. Then within a matter of moments, checkout. Boom, you're done just like that. You can even pay with Apple Pay, Google Pay, whatever it may be. It's real easy with Game Time. And here's the deal. We are offering our Seahawks Today viewers $20 off their first purchase when you download Game Time today and use the promo code SeahawksChat. So what are you waiting for? Download Game Time. Terms and conditions do apply. Create an account today. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Game Time, proud partner of Seahawks Today. Let's take a look at your rooting guide for the Seahawks heading into week number 16. The Saints and the Rams, each with the same record as Seattle, 7-3. But with the 2 losses that the Rams have, I guess it would be better for the Saints to win this game. In theory, it'd be nice if they both could lose. Maybe a tie would be really good. But nonetheless, we don't want the Rams to win on that front. The Lions taking on the Vikings. And the Vikings, we mentioned, with their quarterback situation being a bit of a mess, they don't look like the same team they were a couple weeks ago when they went on that win streak. We'd really like to see the Lions win, and they need it themselves for that division race to try to win that spot. The Jags taking on the Buccaneers. Although the Bucs are currently leading their division, so they're not a wild card threat at the moment. If things change, with the Saints and them competing for that division, also Atlanta as well, then they could be right back in the wild card picture. Jags, if they take care of business, would certainly help out things. Panthers taking on Green Bay. That game, although the Packers have kind of fallen back down to earth the last couple of weeks, go ahead and just put them away, take them out of the picture altogether if that'd help. If Carolina could win that one. And then the Giants and the Eagles. I know we were singing last night, LOSERS, losers, Eagles. But now, I guess we'll be rooting on the Eagles to kind of take the Giants completely out of the equation as well, although they're a bit of a ways back on that front. The upcoming games ahead for Seattle. This week, you take on the Tennessee Titans in Nashville, one of my favorite cities, by the way. I love Broadway. If you've never been to Nashville, you ought to go to Nashville. This game's very winnable for Seattle. Facing Will Levis, Derrick Henry, they're already out of the playoff picture. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to handle business, but Mike Vrabel and some of these guys are coaching and playing for their jobs there. So it's just not a given that Tennessee's going to go out there and just roll over for this Seahawks team. Then you take on a Pittsburgh Steelers team who's got some question marks at the quarterback position. This week they're going to start Mason Rudolph with the injury to Kenny Pickett, and then we also saw Mitch Trubisky not playing so well. So they got some problems that Steelers team does, but their defense is phenomenal. One of the better defenses in football. The offense just can't score. If the Seahawks offense plays their potential, they should be able to take care of business at home against Pittsburgh. And then you take on Arizona on Week 18. Still don't have a time on that game yet. That's to be announced. But Kyler Murray is back healthy. He hasn't looked great since making his return. But that's a team that, in theory, should be competing for one of those top draft picks. Be curious to see how many of their starters actually play in that game. But it's very winnable down the stretch, these final 3 games for Seattle here. For chances of them going 3-0 seem pretty good for these final few games. Folks, no better way to celebrate a Seahawks win than subbing for Dubs here on the channel. We're bringing you daily news and rumors, live shows, mailbags, watch parties, and more. Last night's watch party was incredible. We picked up over 600 subscribers here on Seahawks Today, and we want more subscribers. We are trying to get to 50,000, but we need to get to 47 first. We're about 900 away from reaching that milestone. If you love that Seahawks win last night, this is the channel for you. Subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Now, before we wrap up, a couple things you need to know as far as how the next few weeks add up for Seattle. All three of the upcoming teams for the Seahawks are currently outside the playoff picture. Now, granted, Seattle is, but so are all three of their opponents that they face. Arizona and Tennessee, meanwhile, are both eliminated from the playoffs altogether. So you do have easier opponents here the next couple of weeks. Tennessee and Pittsburgh, both starting backup quarterbacks at the moment. So that should be good. But we saw what Drew Lock did as a backup quarterback last night. The schedule of those final three games, it's the fifth easiest remaining schedule of any team in the NFL. About a 35% winning percentage among those three teams combined as far as strength of schedule goes. And if there's a three-way tiebreaker scenario with Minnesota and LA, kind of like what you're seeing right now where they're tied with those teams, the Seahawks are out when it's all said and done. So they do not need to be in a situation where they're tied with those teams because they would be left behind if that is the case. So now that Week 15 is in the books, we head to Week 16. The home stretch, the run the playoffs is on. What is your confidence level of the Seahawks right now? My confidence went way up after last night. I'm giving this about a 7 right now. I think this team's got a good chance to make the postseason. What's your confidence level about this team after Week 15? Let us know. Scale it for me, and I'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today.